All right, Mize. It is the game of the century this weekend. Tennessee Volunteers at home, Alabama Crimson Tide. You've got the Beast in the East. You've got the Dynasty in the West. SEC showdown, numero uno, the biggest game of the season by far. Honestly, this is Alabama's chance to prove they are the same old Alabama. This is Tennessee's chance to prove they're not the same old Tennessee. That they are an elite, legitimate college football playoff national title contender. Absolutely huge matchup. Lot to discuss back and forth. It's the third Saturday in October. Classic Tennessee Georgia rivalry. Lot to talk about. Before you and I go deeper into this, Vols fans, we want to hear from you. Comment section below. Give us what you think your prediction of this game will be. Give us your final score. Comment section below. We want to hear from all of you in the biggest game to come in Knoxville since Peyton Manning walked out of the doors in 1997. Give us your thoughts in the comments. But Miles, give us your thoughts on this just massive, massive matchup.
Yeah, Nick, obviously you could read my mind. I was going to get right into this. Game day's back. Peyton Manning, guest picker on game day. This is huge for Tennessee. We alluded to this in our earlier video on Tennessee. This is a game that is so paramount for Tennessee. This is the make it or break it game. Now, listen, if they didn't win this game, they would still be a very good team. But this is the college football playoff talks. You win against Alabama and you're up there. Obviously, you still have another tough game against Georgia, but if you can win one of those games, I think you firmly cement yourself into the conversation of being a team that deserves to go to the college football playoff. This is so big for Tennessee, and it's huge, huge that it's at home in Neyland Stadium. There's going to be Rocky Tops all over the place. Peyton Manning's going to be home. They're going to be watching Hendon Hooker do this Heisman-style season that he's got going for him so far. This is such a big game for Tennessee, and I'm so excited for them as a fan of Tennessee, as a fan of college football. This game, if it's anything like the LSU game, it's going to be very exciting to watch. I hope Tennessee can put on quite the performance because, like I said, this last week, the big win over LSU, their defense really took a big step up production-wise, and that is what they need against a team like Alabama. So, Nick, what are your thoughts on this big game, Alabama versus Tennessee?
So, first of all, it is an ideal situation for Tennessee, right? Bryce Young coming back off an injury, maybe a little rusty, right? You have that factor playing in the Vols' favor. You have the Vols at home, obviously, huge advantage. I had a chance to go to a Vols game a couple of years back. I think it was a Georgia game, I think 2019, 2018. Electric environment. I love that stadium. Can't wait to go back to it. It was just an incredible atmosphere. That's obviously a huge advantage in Tennessee's favor. But I want to go number 3, and it's just personnel schematic wise. So the Alabama defense is notorious for being very aggressive. They leave their corners and other DBs, their safeties on islands, and they get after the quarterback. They rush the passer, they blitz. They send a lot of guys to try and get the quarterback on the ground or at least throw them off rhythm. In the college game, obviously, a lot of these guys are younger compared to their NFL counterparts. They struggle hanging in there. So instead of going after big plays, they kind of take sacks, chunk the ball down, whatever it may be. And that just works in the favor of Alabama's defense. Hendon Hooker's a veteran, like you mentioned. He's been here before. He knows how to play the game. And the Tennessee Volunteers have the perfect antidote to Alabama's defense, leaving their receivers on islands, and that's big plays. The Tennessee creates big plays like nobody else's business. Looking at the stats here, they have 5 receivers that have at least one catch of 50 or more yards.
Wow.
They have 6, 7, 8 that have at least one catch of 38 or more yards. Think about that. They have 8 big play receivers, 5 big play receivers. They're just absolutely stacked at that position. Hendon Hooker hangs in the pocket like nobody's business, does an accurate, pretty deep ball. That's probably his best strength, at least in my opinion. It is just the absolute perfect thing you need to do against this Alabama defense. And I really think the stars are kind of aligning here, Miles. It just feels like a huge game for Tennessee here just to finally get over the hump here and beat Alabama. What do you think? Do you think Tennessee has enough to win? Are you going to pick them to win, Miles? Are you going to come out here and say Tennessee is going to beat Alabama?
All right, Nick, I'm going to say something that is going to come back. There's potential to come back to bite me, okay? I think Alabama's a little suspect this year.
Ooh.
If you look at their wins, Utah State, they should have won that one. They barely skipped past Texas. The only reason they do is because Quinn Ewers gets hurt. They win that one 2019.
And the bad calls. They got lucky on a few calls.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
They beat L.A. Monroe, obviously. They beat Vanderbilt, obviously. They beat Arkansas, who's we figured out Arkansas wasn't quite as good as we thought they were early on. barely skimped past Texas A&M
Yes, sir.
24-20.
At home.
Yeah, this is the biggest game of the season for Alabama and for Tennessee, but Tennessee has beaten much more quality opponents. They've beaten Florida, they beat LSU, and those were two opponents that are, I think, much more quality than anyone Alabama has beaten this season. I think at the very least, Tennessee is going to give them the biggest run for their money that they have had all season, but I think they do it. I think the Vols pull it off, and I think they win by more than a touchdown here.
Yeah, I tell you what, the Alabama Crimson Tide have beaten the Tennessee Volunteers 15 consecutive times that they've played. Alabama's won 15 straight games against Tennessee. This is the 105th matchup between these two storied programs. Tennessee, for a long time, are they back? Are they really back to where they were, with Phil Fulmer at the heydays, winning the national championship, the Peyton Manning days, even going before that, just a true college football blue blood like they should be, like they have the potential to be. This is the time to make that statement, to make that declaration that they are back. This isn't a joke. They're a legitimate college football national contender once again. And I'm counting on Hendon Hooker. I'm going to call it right now, Mize. I'm saying he doesn't throw for 200 yards. I'm not saying he throws for 300 yards. I'm saying this guy puts 400 plus yards against an Alabama defense who I think is suspect. Bryce Young's a little rusty. I'm taking Tennessee 41, Alabama 28, 13-point game. Tennessee pulls away late, and Tennessee sends a message to the rest of the nation that they are right up there with Georgia as the best team in the country.